Hi everyone and welcome to Medicine for the Soul. My name's Allie and today we will be moving through Monday mobility. Let's get started. As you find yourself on the mat, you can go ahead and grab 2 blocks if you feel that you might need them throughout your practice, as we will be moving through the hips. You have 2 options here. You can stay seated in Sukhasana for your grounding and opening, or you can come down laying down on your back for a Shavasana, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable, whatever position that you can get into that will calm your mind, go ahead and get into that. As you're in your comfortable position, whether that's seated or lying down, I want you to go ahead and close down the eyes and make an effort to shut off any to-do lists or rambles or rants inside your head. And as you close your eyes, begin to bring awareness towards your breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Let's take another one. Inhaling through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Take note if your breath is shallow, maybe you try to deepen it. As we move throughout this class, we will be holding postures in more of a yin style, which means holding them for a minute or 2 rather than just a few breaths. And as we go forward with holding these poses, I invite you to speak to yourself with compassion. A lot of times when we speak to ourselves, we're very, very hard on ourselves. And we wouldn't talk like that to our best friend or to our mom or dad. So try to be compassionate. Remember to be gentle. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you are laying down on your back, you can go ahead and slowly find your way up to a seated position whenever you're ready. Once you're in a seated position, ideally Sukhasana, legs crossed, palms face down into the knees. Spine is long, shoulders roll down and back. Imagining that there is a string pulling you from the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. We're going to stretch out the neck. So you can choose to keep your eyes closed and just listen to my voice. Or maybe open the eyes, creating a soft gaze. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out, right ear gently moves down towards your right shoulder. feeling a stretch across the left side of the neck. And go ahead and bring your head back through center. And then exhale, left ear towards left shoulder. This time feeling the opening across the right side of the neck. Inhale as that chin brings you back through center. And your exhale will bring you with your chin tucked in towards your chest, rounding down. Feeling that stretch across the back of your neck. And inhale, bringing that head back through center. Great. We're just going to take a seated twist here, just to get our spine moving. So as you inhale, you're going to reach your right arm up high, and then you're going to send your left hand back and behind you. Take a deep breath in. Imagine you are lengthening your spine towards the ceiling. Deep breath out, twist towards the left. That right arm's going to place down on top of the left knee. As you take a breath in, you're going to squeeze the outer parts of your waist in towards your midline, and then as you exhale, that's when you twist a bit deeper. Maybe your gaze reaches over your left shoulder. Bringing yourself back through center. We're just going to switch sides. So left arm reaches up overhead, and you're going to bring that right hand and place it behind you, tensing up onto the fingertips maybe. Take a deep breath in here. Breath out, left hand on right knee, and you're just going to twist open towards the right. And go ahead and bring yourself back through center. Great. We're going to come onto hands and knees into tabletop position. So coming onto all fours, hands stack underneath those shoulders, and your knees are lining up underneath your hips. Your toes can be tucked or untucked here. Moving through some cat-cows. As you inhale, you're going to drop that belly, sits bones lift up towards the sky. Maybe your gaze slightly lifts. And then as you exhale, chin tucks in towards the chest, round and curl into cat pose. Go ahead and inhale, dropping that belly, arching through the spine. And exhale, rounding and curling, pressing the mat away. Inhale for cow pose. Exhale for cat. We're going to move through about 2 more of those rounds on your own time. So this allows you to have the freedom to pause in any places that might feel a bit tight for your own body. So I'd say about 4 breaths, and we'll come back in a neutral spine and tabletop, and we'll keep going. Once you're back in that neutral spine, we're going to take child's pose. Knees go wide, toes to touch, hips sink back onto the heels, and those arms are going to reach out in front of you. Forehead comes down to the mat or maybe to a block. Since this class is all about hips, you're going to want to focus on melting your hips closer towards your heels. This can be an easy action or maybe a not so easy action to do. So if it's a bit tight there, you can always take a rolled up blanket or maybe a pillow if you have one nearby and slide it in between your heels and your bottom. Gives a little bit of a cushion here. We're going to hold here for about a minute. So try and get comfy. And if you feel any sensitivity on the knees or maybe the hips even, you can always come out of it. Try and remember to be compassionate towards yourself. If you feel that your mind is drifting, go ahead and bring it back towards your breath. On your next inhale, slowly coming back to tabletop position. We're going to tuck those toes, send those knees and hips up towards the sky for downward facing dog. 3 full breaths here to get yourself adjusted. All 10 fingers and toes are facing forward. Maybe you take a deep bend in the knees here. If this is your first downward facing dog of the day. 2 more breaths. On your next exhale, go ahead and step that right foot outside of your right pinky toe, dropping down that back knee, untucking the back toes. Now you can choose to bring a block over here for more assistance and elevation. Really, blocks are kind of like elevators that bring the ground up closer to you. You can choose to stay up on your palms or maybe drop down onto your elbows. And we'll be here for about a minute. So try and get comfortable. Try to release any tension that you feel in your body right now. I like to visualize sending my breath as a stream down towards my body and really towards the spot that I'm feeling the most tension. Sometimes that's in places where we're not stretching. So maybe you don't feel it in your hips, maybe you feel it in your arms right now. Try to imagine your breath moving down your arms. It helps. Ten more seconds, you got this. If you were on your elbows, go ahead and come back up on your palms. And we're going to take half pigeon on the right side. So just heel toeing that right foot over towards the left side of the mat, dropping down that shin. Hips are square down towards your yoga mat. That's the most important part here. Now you can choose to stay up, but if you would like to fold over and sleep your pigeon, you are welcome to do that. If you feel a lot of tightness in your hips, you can always bring that heel a bit closer towards the groin area. That will definitely relieve some of that struggle and tension. But for now, we're holding. If any thoughts come up that are feeling a bit negative, this happens a lot when we stretch out the hips. Just try not to become absorbed in it. Try to let it go. If you folded over your pigeon, make your way back up to a seated pigeon. And we're going to meet back in downward facing dog. So really pressing into the mat, tucking those back toes and sending yourself back into downward facing dog. We're going to take about 2 breaths here to really just get adjusted and maybe notice the difference in each side. On your next exhale, go ahead and step that left foot this time outside of your left pinky toe, dropping down that back knee, untucking those back toes. And of course, bringing a block with you if you did so on the first side. We really want to repeat what we did on the first side with the second so that the body is evenly stretched. So you can stay up on your palms. If you would like to take it down onto your elbows, you totally can. And we're holding here for about a minute. Remember to be compassionate towards yourself and send your breath into those places that you feel tense. One side might feel a bit more flexible than the other, and that is completely normal. If you were on your elbows, go ahead and prop yourself back up on your hands. We're going to take pigeon pose on the left side. So same thing, just heel toeing that left foot over towards the right. Squaring down those hips. One side might feel a bit different than the other. That is totally normal. And maybe you fold over your leg, or maybe you stay up, depending on what is the most comfortable for you. And we're holding here. For me, this side is quite tight for some reason. It's just an example of how the body fluctuates. And if the mind begins to wander, bring it back. If you folded over your pigeon, go ahead and press yourself back up to a seated position. We're going to move back into downward facing dog one last time, I promise. So tucking those back toes, sending yourself back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Notice the changes. Deep breath out. Come up onto your high tippy toes, take a deep bend in the knees and allow them to come down to the mat at the exact same time, sitting back on the heels. Shavasana is near, so we're just going to do some forward folds and you'll be on your way. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. So bringing the soles of the feet to touch together, your knees are going to come out into a diamond shape. Now, you can choose the intensity that you want in this. The closer your heels are towards your groin area, the more intense it will feel. Farther away, you're going to feel it more on your outer hips. So taking whatever suits you, bringing your hands down to your ankles, take a deep breath in here. Deep breath out. You can choose to round or keep a flat back. I'm going to round. I find it feels more comfortable. So just rounding forward or keeping your chest lifted if you want a more active stretch. And find your stopping point. And you can always adjust if something doesn't feel right or you want a bit more. It's such a simple pose, but I find it really gets deep into the hips. And go ahead and roll yourself back up. Good. All right. We are going to make our way onto our backs. So finding a comfortable position, lying down on your back. And we're going to bring the knees in towards the chest here. Hugging them in, rocking from side to side. Go ahead and plant your left foot down. Knee is pointing up towards the sky. And then you're going to take your right ankle and just slide it over on top of your left knee for a figure 4 pose. Try and focus on using the strength of your hamstrings to push your knee, your right knee out forward a little bit. This will intensify the stretch in your hips. If you don't feel anything right now, option to thread your hands through and grab either behind that thigh or maybe on the shin, pulling in for a bit of an extra stretch. Go ahead and release that. So we're just going to switch sides. Bring both knees in towards the chest. Release that right foot down, knee points up towards the sky. And you're going to bring that left ankle and just slide it onto your right knee. And then focusing on pushing that left knee forward. Try your best not to use your hand. We don't want to stress the knee. So try and use the strength of your leg to push yourself forward. Once again, you can stay right here, or you can thread through and grab behind the thigh or on the shin. For some reason today, the left side of my body is very tight. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that today. There's always one side that's a bit tighter. And you're just going to go ahead and release that. Bring the knees in towards the chest one last time. Option here to take a happy baby or just move straight into your Shavasana. If you take a happy baby, your knees go wider than your feet and your feet plant up towards the ceiling. Maybe you grab with the peace fingers for your big toes, or maybe just grab for the shins or the knife edges of your feet. Reminder to keep that sacrum glued down towards your mat. And once you feel you've had a bit of a stretch here, you can go ahead and release that. And we're just going to come into Shavasana. So really letting go of everything that we just did. Closing down the eyes, as there's nothing left to see here. This is your chance to rest and recover. For our Shavasana today, we are going to do a bit of a grounding exercise. We're going to touch on the 5 senses. So first we're going to identify something that you can feel or something that you can touch. So maybe your palms are facing down. You can feel the ground beneath you, or maybe your yoga mat. Maybe you feel the connection of your legs laying down on the mat. For hearing, maybe you hear cars going by outside the window or your neighbors chatting. Maybe hearing could count as my voice that's guiding you through this. A little bit of breaking the fourth wall there. For smell, taking a breath in, seeing if you can smell any aromas. Maybe you have flowers in the kitchen, or you can smell the coffee that you made this morning still lingering in the kitchen. Maybe you smell some incense that you lit before practice. And lastly, sight. Slowly fluttering open the eyes, gazing up at the ceiling maybe, keeping a soft gaze. Allow yourself to re-enter this space as someone who has spent the last 30 minutes of self-care, honoring your body and honoring your mind. Bring your hands in a prayer position in front of your heart. I thank you for joining me today for Monday Mobility. I hope you feel well rested and open in the hips. I hope to see you back on the mat again soon. Namaste.